अपादमौलिपर्यन्तां गुरुणामाकृतिं स्मरेतेन विघ्नप्रणश्यन्ति सिद्धन्ति च मनोरथः लक्ष्मीतनोतु नितरामितरानपेक्षमन्वितोऽयं निगमशाखिशिखा प्रवालं भैरम्बमं गुरुहडम्बरचौर्यनिक्रं विद्याभिभेदशतधारधुरन्तरन् सर्वेषां स्वागतम्. This is the Saṃskāra session for the 15th shloka. So, in the 15th shloka, since we are talking about the nature of the primary constituents of this whole text, so we need to understand them as well. That is karma and jnana. In terms of, we have learned ajnana, what it is. Jnana, what is it? Now, ajnana we know is anadi. There is no initiation to it. There is no start to it, but there is an end to it. Getting jnana itself is ajnana. Getting jnana itself is the end of ajnana. So once we get jnana, ajnana ends. So therefore it is the end. There begins jnana. So what is jnana? Jnana is nitya. That means that knowledge is true. What kind of knowledge is true? We are talking strictly about atma jnana, not any other jnana. Extrapolation can be made, but when we are talking about spirituality and the text is that of adhyatma, then connecting it to positive psychology, which also requires the spiritual explanation of the whole thing, we need to understand jnana as jnana itself, that is atma jnana itself. So here, when we are talking about jnana, and then we are talking about karma, karma we know normally is kriya, but then there is something more than that. What is that? We have the concept of dvaita advaita, that is dualism, non-dualism. Jnana is non-dual. That means there is only one. Advaita. Karma is the result of dualism. Therefore, it is dvaita. That means when we have the true knowledge, or when we talk about Parabrahman, there is no change in Parabrahman at any point of time. But the Sayoga of Prakriti and Purusha, the Chaitanya, it leads to certain Vikritis. That Vikriti leads to certain manifestations. That manifestation is what we call as karma. Therefore, it is a changed form. It is a plural form of the true or Nitya Jnana, the Nirakara Brahman. So Sadguna Brahman is actually a manifested form of Nirguna Brahman. Therefore, it is actually karma oriented. There is a Dvaita, dualism associated with it. Here is where we need to understand that the nature of this text is Advaita, saying that the true knowledge is only with respect to Advaita. There is non-dualism involved. So karma is born out of plurality. But here jnanam is non-dualism. There is no plurality over there. So therefore, what happens is, the reason why karma is actually born out of plurality is because it is transactional in nature. It leads to something, something leads to another thing, like that. But jnana leads to jnana only. There is no going over there. That is the locus of everything that goes on. That is that small point from where the whole circle is drawn. Therefore, what happens? That is not moving anywhere. It is achala. It is standing over there. It is there everywhere. Reaching that point is extremely difficult. That is true jnana. Obviously, what happens when we are talking about the universe, and it started out of one particular atom expanding, there becomes the huge universe. When we go towards the initiator, the source, what happens? Our movements get restricted. Therefore, ultimately, when we reach that place, there is no other place where we can go. Therefore, that itself is the only point that is to reach. There is no further extra anything out of that. So, jnana remains as the ultimate point, destination. That is what they are trying to say. So, vidya akhila karakadhikan nihanti. Therefore, once I reach that point, the center of that circle, I am not going to go around. I'm not going to go around anywhere. Therefore, they are saying that we need to withdraw. There are more about this when our whole, like for example, the elemental forms. We need to understand the elemental forms. Now, what do we mean by elemental forms? The example is that of a lamp. The example is that of a lamp. Now, the lamp has to be lit. For that, there are certain things required. What is that? A wick is required, cotton wick. Oil is required, and obviously the lamp, that is the container where the wick has to be immersed in the oil, and to contain the oil, some small this thing is also required. Some container is also required. But what are these things required for? These things are required for to light the lamp. That's all. To light the lamp. Once the lamp is lit, what is the function of that light? The function of this light is to eliminate darkness, is to drive away darkness. That is the function of the light, of that jyoti. So what happens is, here in the whole argument, when they are saying that karma is complementary to jnana, they are trying to say that the function of jnana, they are trying to reduce the function of jnana, saying that karma is lending a hand towards attaining jnana. But jnana in its nature itself is so pure that ajnana ends over there. That means there is no other further vrittis, there is no further karmas. So it doesn't make any sense when we say that karma is complementary to jnana. Like separating that of the function of the wick, the oil, and that container, the deepa, they are all required for what? They are all required to light the lamp. But what does the lamp do? The light. The jyoti has its own function. Wherever the jyoti is, it has one function. It is to drive away the darkness. Whether I use these kind of accessories. For example, now I am talking about one jyoti. If I talk about a tube light, none of these accessories are required. But what light is there? What does light do? Light is going to drive away darkness. So the function of that light, prakasha, is nitya. It is not going to change, and it is not even dependent on the constituents which is bringing about that particular prakasha. So therefore, we cannot make the mistake that the reason why prakasha is able to drive out that darkness, able to eliminate the darkness, is because it has the support of the wick. We cannot say that. So this is the logical vitarkavadina, where the logic went wrong when that jnana karma samuchayavada occurs. As per Rama, where their logic went wrong is basically because of this. This is the argument that he's trying to place over there. The lamp that we have lit has a function of its own. The light that is coming out of it has a function of its own, and that is not dependent on how the lamp is lit. This is what we need to understand. So now, are we ignoring the karmas? No, in the beginning only, Rama was very specific about it. He said, no. Purvashrama kriyas, whatever has been demanded that we have to do. Only after doing that, we become eligible for giving them up. How can I give something which I don't have? How can I give up something when I don't have attachment to it? So therefore, he says, first, whatever is the ashramas ask, whatever is the purvashrama varnita kriyaha, varna varnita kriyaha, whatever is that varnas and the ashrama dharmas is asking of me, I have to do that. After I do that, what am I supposed to do? Then I'm supposed to give them up. So therefore, the whole varnashrama kriyas, it has been divided in such that we need to give preference to karma when we are in the learning phase. That is, when we are in brahmacharya phase, as a student of dharma shastra, we have to learn the karma kanda of the Vedas. The aparavidya, I have to learn that. When I reach a sannyasa phase, then what am I supposed to do? Then I'm not no longer a student of dharma shastra, I'm a student of brahma shastra. So therefore, understanding self becomes more important than uh, physical expression. Therefore, the Vedanta must be understood and the Paravidya should be understood in sannyasa phase. In both these things, Nishkama karma is what helps us to sustain. That means the transition from being a samsari to a sannyasi is only possible when we involve ourselves in Nishkama karma. What do we what do we mean by Nishkama karma? It is doing a karma without any kind of obligation, without any kind of expectation. Then we become of stable mind. So for this, that is the person who becomes a sadhaka. That is the person who becomes eligible for the jnana. So here the understanding is simply that karma keeps one active and there is no time for learning. The contemplation, whatever we have learned, all these lectures, until and unless we sit with that particular concept and then we revisit it upon ourselves, only we will be able to reach that state of a jnani. That is not possible when we are doing karmas. I cannot say I will listen to something when I am I will listen to a lecture when I am doing my chores. That is not possible. Nothing will go into my head. It is just a distraction. I need to do something. I need to do some work. That work is very monotonous because what happens is routine creeps in. It becomes so monotonous. I know what to do. There is no new learning over there. So therefore, I keep doing that. Household chores are so monotonous. Therefore, what happens? I need a distraction, and therefore, I've switched on the TV. Fine. But when I'm learning something, I cannot use the same technique because learning requires me to only focus on that particular thing, and I need to contemplate also. That is the reason we have 3-step learning process: Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. So now here we are talking about karma not sitting as a complementary element to jnana. And therefore, we need to be very clear about the nature of these two. What are these two? Karma, it requires, and it not requires, it leads to invocation of ego. Ego or ahambhava. Ahambhava will lead to I did a doer, the concept of a doer, the concept of a bhokta, karma phala, whatever has been received, that also has a certain ahambhava related to it. Therefore, this person will always get attached to it. Atma jnana, however, removes it. Jnana gives this, I already spoken about the elements of a certain karma and karma phala. What is the relation? 50% is ours, 50% is from the avyakta. So therefore, jnana leads to detachment from that. And karmas interrelated. Chakravatiriyate. They lead, one leads to another. But we are, jnana is not moving anywhere. Jnana is the center. So therefore, there is no sambandha it associates with to anything else. So it is asanga atma. So when we talk about the nature of karmas, the properties of ego, kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, all those things flare up. But when we are talking about jnanarjana, then it leads to ego, elimination of ego. That is the reason why this jnana and karma cannot be combined. That was what they are saying. So here, the nature of jnana and karma are simply of that of Mula Prakriti and the Vikritis. Jnana becomes the Mula Prakriti. Karma becomes its Vikritis. This is what it needs to be understood in terms of nature. So this is very important for us to understand why karma is is also important, why jnana is also important. All these things we need to understand, because our scriptures do not give them that kind of allowance where we can say, okay, karma I can give up before even doing it. That is not possible. I think there are, I think when we are talking about Bhagavad Gita also, there are quite a few mention of all these things. Even there is shloka, which one was that? Hmm. So karma is also important. Adhishtanan tatha karta karanancha prathak vidham vividhascha prathak cheshtaha daivan chaivatra panchamam. The sixth chapter, when we start off, the sixth chapter has the it specifically says that one should not give up the karma. That is also there. That also chapter is also there. I forgotten the shloka. Um, this is from the 18th chapter, what the shloka that I just chanted, Adhishtanan Tatha Karta. So that is also there. See, we need to understand that those are the conditions necessary for each organ to function efficiently. For that, we need to, because we have taken a karma ichha, this sharira is a result of karma ichha, so it is important for us to indulge in karma. Only then we will understand what is the importance. Like for example, when elephant is born, just an example, the elephant doesn't know how to use its trunk, but as it grows up, the trunk becomes the strongest muscle in the elephant's body. It is so powerful that it can just pull up a huge car also. It can bash the car also. It can just push away somebody. So it becomes so important. The manifestations, whatever we have, if we don't use that, then what happens is we start to lose control over them. Therefore, it is important for us to indulge in karma, and then we need to reduce that, giving up after we have learned what it means. That is the reason. So with this, this is the Saṃskāra session. The concept of jnana and karma is very deep, and they are, like I said, both of them finds a place in Vedas, and therefore they're extremely elaborately explained, and their nature is also there, their features are there, their avirodha bhava also is there, virodha bhava is also there, where they are similar, where they are different. Why we cannot take them together, that argument also lies. Why we can take them together, there are arguments for that also. So these two concepts are, it should not be considered as a translated version of knowledge and work. That should not be the case. These have much higher significance in them, because we use it in different contexts. Therefore, these are the two different terms that has been defined to us in our ancient scriptures, many of the Dhyatma texts. So with this, we end the Saṃskāra session for the 15th shloka. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन महीमहीषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।